The Super Bowl's that weekend.
Super Bowl weekend, we got UFC 169, the first fight.
And a guy tweeted me, and I could look it up, but I'm too lazy. He's like, the UFC doesn't even look exciting this year. I'm like, hold on, it's January. And two, did you look at the Super Bowl card?
The Super Bowl card is fucking nasty.
That's a pretty good card for this early in the year.
But I will say this. To me, the Super Bowl card
could be better.
Yeah, because what was the Super Bowl? You keep talking to people. I'm going to go back to last year's Super Bowl.
Anyway, the Super Bowl card is going to be on the Saturday before the Super Bowl, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's over in New Jersey, which is, honestly, Jersey's going to be crazy because the Super Bowl's
Dirty Jersey.
Year, and then you're going to have this card. It's got strong name power, but I'd say the first two fights on the card kind of lack the name power you would expect. I would expect more of like a UFC 100. Like, they should make this their Super Bowl type event.
Right.
Like, they should make, like, I think the UFC should maybe pick either the halfway point in the middle of the year.
Excuse me.
NFL has a Super Bowl.
Right.
Baseball has the World Series. NBA has their championship. Hell, NASCAR even has the Daytona 500, which they run at the beginning of their season, which, I don't know, that's a little weird. I think the UFC needs one of those culminating events.
Right.
And they need to call it something. Either put it in the middle of the year, put it at the end of the year, or the first of the year.
Right.
But have it a culmination of something where you try to get, like, maybe every fight on that night is a title fight. That'd be crazy.
Right.
Like, you could throw the women in there now. You have, multiple weight classes. You could really hype this event, and it would be nuts.
Last year's Super Bowl
name
card
power. Look at the name power.
Had Jose Aldo going up against Frankie Edgar.
Mm-hmm.
It had Nog going up against Rashad Evans,
which was a great fight.
It had Bigfoot Silva going up against Overeem.
It
had Damian Maia and John Fitch. And then it had Benavidez going up against Ian McCall.
Yeah, and I remember that one because I loved what Damian Maia did in that bout, and a lot of people didn't because it was Damian Maia just destroyed him on the ground.
Right.
That's who's cut weight and done really well.
That's it.
He's down to 170.
He's down to 170.
Yeah.
That's who it was.
But didn't he just get wrecked in his last fight after we said that? I'm not sure.
But go ahead and... Anyway, where did you leave off, George?
I hadn't touched the card yet. I was just talking about how I think they should, how the UFC should come up with some kind of a culminating named event. Mm-hmm. And instead of getting away from UFC 170, 180, I understand he's got a good thing in there, but why not call it, I don't know, UFC Worlds 1? Or just, I don't know, some kind of catchy name like the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, like something like that. Because I tell you what, they did it right by putting it in Jersey. I mean, they're right where, obviously the Super Bowl is going to be held in the Meadowlands. So
Damian Maia lost to Jake Shields in a decision. Yeah.
But let's start out with the card. You got a lightweight fight between Jamie Varner and Abel Trujillo. And, this is one thing where you could lean and say, okay, Jamie Varner, everybody knows who Jamie Varner is. I'm not going to go with Jamie Varner because of his name recognition. I'm going to just go with Jamie Varner because I think he's the better fighter in this fight. I think this other guy's a little green, especially when you come to the big stage with the UFC. And I just think Varner's pretty well-rounded, and I think he's just going to get the best of him.
Yeah, if you look at Trujillo's last couple fights, he's been in the UFC. He's had 4 fights.
Yeah, one's been a no contest, one's been a loss.
Yeah.
And he's had...
I'm going to go with Jamie Varner because he's the vet. I think just because of his ring prowess and how long he's been doing this, I think he's going to get the better of this kid. Even though, I mean, look, Jamie Varner does not look good in his last 3 fights. He's 1-2. He's lost to Joe Lawazin and Gleison Tibau. And he beat Melvin Gillard, which he's a lot right now.
Yeah.
But he did beat Edson Barboza before that, who, at the time was really tearing people up. So, you know what? I backtrack. I'm going with Trujillo for their win.
You are?
Yep.